expected, but rather at a London hospital.
Even though Meghan had let it be known she wanted a home birth, it was probably very realistic that her first child at 37, it was going to be born in hospital.
The certificate lists the private...
Y'all, grab your popcorn because this royal tea is about to boil over so hard. Even the Queen's ghost is probably sitting up in her grave going, what in the Earl Grey is happening down there? A woman calling herself DL just walked out of nowhere, claiming she's the real mother of Archie and Lilibet. And honey, Meghan's panic mode is so intense, she's probably Googling how to delete the internet right about now.
So at the time, Archie Mountbatten Windsor was born May 6, 2019. And this was surrounded by controversy, largely to the unconventional decision.
Now, before we dive into this absolute chaos, please subscribe and help support our channel. We need all the help we can get to keep bringing you this royal mess because Netflix ain't paying us. But seriously, folks, this story is wilder than a Harry Potter plot twist. So this mystery woman, DL, steps forward with more receipts than a CVS customer, claiming she carried both royal babies while Meghan was out here doing her best impression of a pregnant woman. The internet is going absolutely bonkers, and honestly, can you blame them? DL isn't just throwing around accusations like confetti at a wedding. She's got documentation, people! Hospital records, North Dakota as, payment logs, emails, and agency documents from some fancy California surrogacy firm. This woman came prepared like she's presenting her PhD thesis on how I carried your royal babies while you pretended. But here's where it gets juicier than a gossip magazine. She claims Meghan's team promised her privacy and payment, but instead of honoring their deal, they straight up ghosted her harder than a bad Tinder date. Remember when Archie was born? And instead of the traditional hospital steps photo op, Harry showed up alone in front of some horse stables, grinning like he just discovered fire. Back then, everyone thought it was just them being different and modern. Now, that same announcement is aging like milk in the sun because apparently Harry was out there announcing a baby that might not have even come from his wife's belly. The man looked more confused than a tourist reading a map upside down. And can we talk about those pregnancy videos that have been circulating for years? The ones where Meghan's bump literally folds when she sits down?
Been pregnant for way too long. I tell the DJ turn it off. Turn it off.
If she a baby mama,
Go ahead.
she gon' do that baby mama.
Work.
She gon' put.
At the time, people called it conspiracy nonsense, but now even the mainstream media is going, hold up, wait a minute. Something ain't right here. That belly was changing sizes faster than a shape-shifting superhero. One day, she's barely showing. The next day, she looks like she swallowed a watermelon, then back to looking like she just had a big lunch. The inconsistency was more obvious than a fake designer handbag, but everyone was too polite to say anything. But wait, it gets better. DL claims she wasn't just kept out of the public eye, she was completely erased from existence, like she was in some royal witness protection program. They allegedly replaced her name in medical records with pseudonyms, making her disappear faster than Houdini at a magic show. This woman went from being the most important person in the Sussex baby-making process to being treated like she never existed. That's colder than a penguin's refrigerator.
He was born at home at Frogmore Cottage in Windsor, or whether he was indeed.
Now, let's talk about that birth certificate drama, because this is where things get legally messy. When Archie's certificate was released, eagle-eyed observers noticed something fishy. Meghan's full legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, was mysteriously changed to Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. The palace claimed it was just a clerical update, and Meghan said she had no idea it happened. But now with DL's bombshell accusations that clerical error is looking more suspicious than a politician's promise. Why would you need to change the mother's name unless maybe, just maybe, she wasn't actually the mother to begin with?
What she would do is actually to keep Harry jumping about something like that, you know. She would have things where she didn't like it and tell him that make his life very difficult, and he can't cope with her, so he just tries to do.
Meanwhile, Harry is apparently having a complete meltdown at their Montecito mansion. Sources say he's barely sleeping, snapping at staff, and pacing around the property like a caged tiger. One former staffer said he's caught in a lie he thought he could control. The man who once flew helicopters in Afghanistan is now being defeated by one woman with a stack of medical records. He's probably wishing he were back dodging bullets instead of dodging questions about baby mama drama. And where's Meghan in all this chaos? Radio, silence. The woman who usually has something to say about everything has gone quieter than a library on Sunday. No curated Instagram posts, no podcast teasers, no Hello Sunshine captions. Her social media presence has vanished faster than free food at a college event. For someone who built her brand on being outspoken and authentic, this silence is more deafening than a fire alarm at 3 a.m. But DL? She's out here playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. This woman is calling their bluff, saying she's ready for DNA testing, willing to testify under oath, and has nothing to hide. She's got more confidence than a peacock in a beauty contest. She's basically saying, bring it on to the royal family. And honey, that takes some serious backbone. You don't challenge the monarchy unless you're absolutely certain your story is tighter than a jar of pickles. The legal implications are absolutely mind-blowing. If these claims are true, we're not just talking about a little white lie, we're talking about potentially defrauding the monarchy. The 1,917 letters patent specifically states that royal titles go to those lawfully born of the body. If Meghan didn't actually give birth and they hid that fact, then technically Archie and Lilibet's royal titles could be as fake as a $3 bill. Constitutional lawyers are probably working overtime, trying to figure out what happens when royal heirs might not be as royal as everyone thought. DL claims she was recruited through some high-end California surrogacy agency and kept in isolation during both pregnancies. No friends, no family visits, total discretion. She was basically living like she was in a luxury prison. But after Lilibet was born, she says they slammed the door shut on her faster than a nightclub bouncer. The communication ended, the care stopped, and she went from being treated like a VIP to being treated like she never existed. That's when she started documenting everything, because apparently, when you mess with someone's healthcare, you've crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. The timing of this revelation is absolutely perfect, or perfectly terrible, depending on whose side you're on. This was supposed to be Meghan's comeback year. She had Netflix specials planned, lifestyle brands launching, and children's books in the works. Instead, she's dealing with a scandal that makes her previous controversies look like playground squabbles. All those carefully laid plans are crumbling faster than a house of cards in a hurricane, and there's no amount of PR spin that can fix this mess. Even Hollywood is backing away from the Sussexes faster than people fleeing a zombie apocalypse. Netflix is reviewing their documentaries, sponsors are pulling out, and celebrity friends have gone quieter than a mouse in a cat convention. Oprah hasn't said a word, which is probably the most shocking part of this entire story, because when has Oprah ever been speechless? The woman who gave Meghan and Harry their biggest platform is now treating them like they have a contagious disease. The British public's approval ratings for the Sussexes have dropped faster than a lead balloon. We're talking about a 70% drop in the UK and below 40% in the US. These numbers are so bad, they make a failing report card look impressive. The couple who once had the world's sympathy are now being viewed with more suspicion than a door-to-door vacuum salesman. Their brand is more damaged than a phone screen after a toddler gets hold of it. But here's the real kicker. DL isn't just making noise and disappearing. She's reportedly lined up for a primetime interview with a major network, and she's got more documents ready to drop than a paper airplane factory. If she releases medical records or DNA evidence on national television, it's game over for the Sussex narrative. The couple who built their empire on truth and transparency might be about to face the biggest truth bomb in royal history. The palace is in damage control mode, quietly reviewing constitutional implications while maintaining its usual "we don't comment on Sussex matters" stance. But behind closed doors, King Charles is probably having meetings that would make a UN peace summit look casual. They're dealing with questions that have never been asked before. What happens when royal heirs might not be as legitimate as everyone thought? Can titles be revoked? Are there precedents for this kind of situation? The monarchy has survived wars, divorces, and scandals, but this is uncharted territory that would make even the most seasoned royal advisors reach for the antacids. Meanwhile, back at the Montecito compound, it's like a scene from a psychological thriller. Staff have been reduced, security doubled, and the couple who once preached about mental health and wellness are reportedly living in what can only be described as a pressure cooker. Neighbors have spotted Harry walking the property perimeter late at night, looking more lost than a GPS without signal. The man who once charmed the world with his cheeky smile is now the subject of a scandal that makes his Vegas naked photos look like a minor embarrassment. And the children? Archie and Lilibet are caught in the middle of this chaos, completely unaware that their entire existence is being questioned on a global scale. They're going to grow up in a world where their birth story is more controversial than a presidential election. These kids will probably need therapy just to understand their own family tree. The fairy tale that Harry and Meghan tried to create for their children has turned into a nightmare that even the Brothers Grimm would find too dark to publish. The most ironic part of this entire saga? Meghan and Harry left the royal family, claiming they wanted to control their own narrative and escape media intrusion. But now they're the ones accused of misleading the public, and they're facing more scrutiny than they ever did as working royals. They traded royal protocol for Hollywood freedom, but ended up with a scandal that makes their previous controversies look like minor inconveniences. They went from being the people asking for privacy to being the people everyone wants answers from. DL's confidence is absolutely unshakable, and that's what makes this story so compelling. She's not acting like someone who's making things up. She's acting like someone who has receipts, backup receipts, and receipts for the backup receipts. She's challenging one of the most powerful couples in the world, and she's doing it with the kind of swagger that suggests she knows exactly what she's talking about. When someone is willing to go up against the royal family and Netflix lawyers, you know they're not playing around. The silence from Team Sussex is becoming more damaging than any response could be at this point. Every hour that passes without a statement is another hour for the story to grow and for people to form their own conclusions. In the age of social media, silence isn't golden, it's suspicious. The couple who once used every platform available to tell their side of the story are now hoping that ignoring the problem will make it go away. But this isn't a trending hashtag that will be forgotten in a week. This is a constitutional crisis with legal implications that could last for generations. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is crystal clear. The fairy tale is over, and reality is knocking on the door with a search warrant. Whether DL's claims are true or false, the damage to the Sussex brand is already done. Trust, once broken, is harder to rebuild than a demolished building. And right now, Meghan and Harry are sitting in the rubble of their carefully constructed narrative, wondering how one woman with a stack of papers managed to bring down their entire empire. The couple who wanted to change the world might end up being remembered as the ones who changed the monarchy forever, just not in the way they intended. So grab your tea, settle in, and keep watching because this royal drama is far from over. With DL's upcoming television appearance and the legal battles that are sure to follow, we're in for a wild ride that will make every soap opera look like a children's bedtime story. The only question left is, will Meghan and Harry finally break their silence, or will they continue to let their reputation crumble one day at a time? Either way, the popcorn industry is about to have its best quarter in years.